right, so everybody, we are here today with Morgan, and Morgan Rooks-Turcotte is one of our instructors, and she teaches a couple classes for us, but today we are going to talk specifically about animal acupressure and the courses that she has developed for animal acupressure for small animals and equines. So we just kind of want to talk a little bit about how you could utilize this in your practice or with your own animals and the benefits of acupressure for animals. So welcome, Morgan. And
Hi.
can we start off, just tell me a little bit about how you got interested in acupressure and what your background is that got you to the point where you wanted to learn more and eventually develop a course on it.
Yeah, I've utilized acupuncture for myself for years. It's one of like my favorite, like, things that I do for myself when I'm taking care of my personal body. Um, and then when my horse got diagnosed with like arthritis, SI arthritis, staple arthritis, we started thankfully, like my veterinarian down here, she went to school for both chiropractor and acupuncture. And I just love like watching my horse get it done. Like I think that it always just has such an amazing effect on him. Obviously in Canada and the United States, you can't do acupuncture without like a DVM, which is totally fine. I believe in that and I think that's appropriate. But I took an acupuncture diploma that's actually based out of Australia. And the course was just so interesting. And I told the instructor, I was like, I'm not going to be doing acupuncture. I'm going to be doing acupressure. And that's how I want to learn. And he's like, no, that's totally fine. So, anyways, I started doing these acupressure protocols and learning about the meridians, learning about the points, and I was like just fascinated. Like I couldn't like get away from the computer as far as like researching goes and everything like that. Um, and so I actually well, I started doing it like all the time with my personal horse. Like every time I went to go see him, I was doing different points, trying different things. And I just have never seen a horse release that much from doing it. And, you know, I use it a lot with my horses, but once I started doing it more, researching it more, and getting like super comfortable with it, I do it every day with my animals. It's something that's like wake up in the morning, make my coffee, and do like an acupressure protocol on my dogs and my cats. So, yeah, it's just like this really, it's just really neat. And I love that you can do it and have the same effects similar as acupuncture, but do it just with your fingers. And that's amazing.
Yeah, that's awesome. So explain to some of our viewers who maybe aren't familiar with either technique, what is the difference really between acupuncture and acupressure?
Yeah, for sure. So acupuncture is we use needles to insert into an acupoint. And acupoints are different points along meridians that affect energy and chi and have, you know, a various amount of different effects depending on the point and where it is on the body. Acupressure just uses pressure. So we can use our hands, we can use tools. I, it's something that very light touch, very passive touch. You can see those responses from those animals.
Okay, so it would be less invasive than acupuncture,
Exactly.
which
Exactly.
allows animal owners and other practitioners to utilize it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So what are some of the most common issues or conditions in animals that you use acupressure for?
Well, I mean, started it off obviously for arthritis for my horse, and my dog also has arthritis.
Mhm.
Um, and but generally, when I use acupressure in the professional matter, I use acupressure for pretty much any instance, whether it be, calming, whether it be for certain muscle pain to help release that more. Arthritis is obviously a very popular one because a lot of animals unfortunately suffer from arthritis. And just general well-being. Like it's just one of those things that if you learn about the meridians, if you learn about the channels, even for humans, it's so, so powerful on your general well-being. And if we can do anything to restore balance from within our bodies, that's, you know, less invasive, then we should.
Yeah, that's great. So can you explain for our viewers that might not know, what exactly is this energy that it's affecting? Like what are these meridians and how does that work in Chinese medicine?
Yeah, so basically kind of just a basic, you know, don't get too into it to confuse people, but um our body has like what I like to call like these highways of energy channels throughout our body. And when something happens within, which is always going to happen if you're stressed out, if you're not eating right, if you're not sleeping right, with animals, it could be an injury, it could be a mood change, it could be a training issue. Um, these highways have like these little cities, and the cities have these little streets. And if you're, you know, you have traffic going in and out all the time. But if there's like a collision on the highway and it's never cleared up, essentially, all of the cars that are traveling from city to city, they're eventually just going to get blocked up
Hmm.
and they can't go anywhere. So that's like how, you know, Chinese medicine, we believe that everything is connected within the body. And if you have a problem in one area, eventually over time, you are going to affect various different areas of your body.
Yeah, that's a good way of explaining it. So when you're using acupressure on animals, have you found that specific animals react better to it, or have you found that dogs, cats, horses, livestock all react
Horses for
equally?
sure.
Okay.
I think horses are like just amazing. I think that they're so good at telling you what's wrong and
Yeah.
kind of guiding you to what's wrong. And I find that working on horses, I can usually get them into any sort of session
Mhm.
a lot quicker. Cats are difficult, I will say. A lot of the times, like I don't do too many cats. I do my personal cats and I do some friends' cats here and there. I have a couple clients that I used to house it for that have like sick cats that'll come and visit them. I find that with cats especially, you almost have to let them warm up to you a lot, like give them a lot more time before you start trying to like, you know, poke them and massage them and stuff like
Mhm.
that. It's just how they are. It's just that's just their natural nature. I love cats. I'm a super big cat person, so I'm totally fine with like hanging out with the cat for 30 minutes prior to you know, starting my session.
Mhm.
Dogs, it depends. Like if you have a pretty skittish dog that's a little bit like, then yeah, for sure. It's going to
Mhm.
take a little bit longer for them to release because their body just isn't into it yet. And I just find that horses are a lot more trusting and a lot more comfortable.
Yeah, I've found that as well with all different types of body work. Not so much that the horses react better to it, but just that you can see those releases easier, and they're good at releasing. Like they're good at
Yeah.
just letting it go. But yeah, and I have actually found too that cats do pretty well with it, but like you said, they can be a little standoffish in the beginning. But usually once you start working on them, they're like, okay, that feels pretty good.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like I my one cat, she knows her routine. She'll come to me in the morning and she's ready for it.
Hmm.
My other cat, he's younger, so he's just like he wants to play when I start. I'm like, no, no, be serious.
Yeah. Yep. So take our viewers through what a typical session would look like. So let's say that you were going to an appointment to do an acupressure session with an animal. What would they expect during that session and how long would it be about?
Yeah, so typically when I go to a session, I always do an assessment first of the animal. I do like a visual assessment, typically like a moving around assessment, whether that be for horses, walk, trot, canter, whether that be for dogs. I ask them to, you know, get up and down, whatever. And then I typically like to start off my session with doing a little bit of like a fascial warm up. So just giving them like a really good body rub down. I find that I started doing this a little bit more frequently lately, especially with my dogs. And I find that it just puts them in this like really good state of mind
Hmm.
before we actually start. Um, and then I sort of, you know, decide, okay, well, what is this animal struggling with? What is going to be the most effective way that I can target a lot of issues and not, be here for 2 hours. So I always incorporate a meridian at the beginning of the session and then also at the end. And in between that, I pick, certain points, or I'll grab a protocol and work those points. Typically, a protocol is no more than about 12 to 15 points. So if you're doing about 30 seconds to a minute per point, you're not sitting there for too long. So the actual acupressure session is maybe about 15 to 20 minutes, kind of depending on adjustments or whatever.
Okay.
And then meridian massages are maybe 2 to 3 minutes each. So typically when I'm working on an animal, it maybe will take me about 30 to 40 minutes to get it complete.
So you figure out which points you want to address based on the animal's history and your findings during your assessment.
Yeah, exactly. Before I go anywhere professionally, I always have people fill out a form prior to, just so that I can kind of grasp what's going on before I arrive and be prepared and kind of have an idea in my head of what I want to do. But ultimately, that can change from when you get to the animal, and maybe what is going on is maybe different than what the owner described. And yeah, there's a lot of different methods to choosing different points. Thankfully, a lot of acupoints have they have indications for a lot of different things. So you might have an acupoint that affects like the pole and the shoulder and the stifles. So it's nice that it's kind of like a not like dummy proof, but you can pretty much get a lot of different ailments from, just a couple points.
Okay, awesome. So we did together develop some courses. So let's talk to our viewers a little bit about those courses. So we have them for professionals, but then you also feel that this is stuff that pet owners can utilize and do it on their own animals. So tell me a little bit about the courses and what people can expect when they take them.
Yeah, so the professional courses they're a lot more dense. They have a lot more information in them. Just so that as, a future practitioner, you feel super confident in treating animals, selecting appropriate points, and utilizing that modality to its fullest potential. We talk, a lot more in depth about traditional Chinese medicine, because it is something that is huge. And then in our owner courses, it's a little bit more broken down into simpler steps, almost like a step-by-step protocol. We explain a little bit about traditional Chinese medicine, and then we have, these protocols laid out for you so that you can pick one and choose when you want to do it. And then we just guide you on how to properly and effectively perform that acupressure session. I talk a lot about the different instances of pressure and the different utilizations of the meridian massages. And then, yeah, the professional course is also that. But then, like I said, we've got a lot more going on as far as there's, specific points that help us diagnose not diagnose, but help us figure out an issue. And then there's certain points that we know are going to do certain things, I guess.
Okay. So now, would you recommend, if somebody's going to sign up for the professional course, would you recommend that they are already some type of animal body worker, or could they start here in their journey towards becoming an animal body worker?
I definitely think that having a great understanding of anatomy is pretty crucial in acupressure, because finding these points and locating them is based a lot on anatomy. We include a lot of anatomy in the courses for both for both the non-certification and certification, because you do need to know, what does cranial caudal mean? What does, all that stuff mean? However, if you were someone that, can learn anatomy and can really invest the time in studying that, I think that you can start a career as acupressure. And I think acupressure is one of those modalities that just pairs so well with everything else. Like, I don't typically do just an acupressure session. Like, I'm typically doing like massage, acupressure, everything, because everything just ties in so nicely together. But if you were a professional, I guess to answer the question, but if you were a professional that wanted to, get into animal body work and you were like super interested in acupressure, I definitely think that you would be able to start out with acupressure.
Okay. So yeah, so then tell our viewers, like what you were saying, which modalities do you think are complemented well by acupressure?
So massage for sure. I think massage, no matter what you're doing, is like the basis of everything for myself. And I know a lot of people believe in that. I think that no matter what, massage is just like superior, like as far as releasing tension and helping muscles and enhancing the body. I think acupressure complements massage so well because I typically will see bigger releases, longer lasting effects of my sessions. And I typically will see what I might not have known is going on with the animal at the beginning of the session might come out later on once I've done acupressure, just with their responses. And then I really love red light laser therapy. It's like one of my favorites. I love it for myself, for my horses. So, and then kinesiology taping also. Love that one. Like that's a great one. We teach it in the certification course how to use kinesiology taping with the acupoints. Sometimes there's been a couple instances where I've had just extremely tense horses. Like they just don't want you to come near them because they're almost like scared of touch because they're so tense. I will utilize kinesiology tape for that all the time, over and over. It is amazing to just like gently put on the animal, let them decompress, let them figure out, let their muscles do what they need to do with that kinesiology tape, and then come back to them. And it's like a world of difference. So yeah, I love all four of those. I love all modalities together. Like I'm learning the animal neuromyofascial release right now. And I'm like, oh my God, this is so cool.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure that one is also going to be like super awesome, alongside acupressure too.
Yeah, that's my favorite technique. And then I kind of utilize everything else around that. But yeah, I always tell
Mhm.
people you really can't learn too much because the more techniques that you have, the more you can personalize a session for an animal. And some animals respond better to certain things. And like you were just mentioning, so we do have a kinesiology taping certification course. And you can take that so much further. Like I can utilize it in craniosacral therapy, like we do some
Mhm.
tapings along the cranial sutures, or we can use it, like you said, with the acupressure. And there's just so many different things that we can do with it. So it's pretty cool. And then also the laser, like you were mentioning, the red light and laser can be used to stimulate acupoints as well, which I think you touch a little bit upon that too. And then I also have a course that goes into cold laser therapy. And specifically we have sections on stimulating acupoints using a laser. So it's pretty neat stuff. So let's see here. So what do you think would be some common misconceptions that people may have about animal acupressure? And what do you think that you could tell them to kind of convince them that it's something that they should try out?
I think probably the biggest one is like there's like people doubt its effects on healing. I don't think people doubt its safety at all because it's not safe.
Hmm.
But I think people definitely might doubt, well, there's no way that me just rubbing this random spot on my animal is gonna help them.
Hmm.
But it's not a random spot. Um, it's a point on a very powerful meridian. And if you ever think about like what I always say to like owners if I'm explaining acupressure or whatever, if you ever think about like when you get a headache and you start to like massage your temples or like massage above your eyes, that is doing acupressure.
Hmm.
Um, I wish I could do more acupressure on myself actually because I would, but a lot of my issues I can't reach some of the acupoints. But um no, it's and if you have ever I always encourage like I had an owner one time that was like just kind of trying it out for her horse and she had never had acupuncture done before And I was like, well, if you have like benefits that cover acupuncture, go get a session done. If you're, not scared of needles, because I know that's some things for some people, that's how my husband is. But I said, like, go get an acupuncture session and just like feel how amazing you feel afterwards. And acupressure is the same. It's really it's super interesting in that sense of things because yeah, it's simple and it's effective. And that's probably like the biggest probably misconception that I come across with dealing with owners or people who have questions about, acupressure as a whole. So
Okay. And what do you think, what would you tell people that the benefits are about taking a course rather than just buying a book on acupressure and trying to utilize it with their animals?
yeah, courses are just like, well, you have like lifetime support from people around you that do it all the time. Sorry, my cats are fighting.
It's okay.
um, um, and the course that is developed, like we cover like everything. I have never been able to find a book that covers that. There are some books out there that like can tell you about acupressure, can tell you about certain points, but they don't go into depth of like what it's actually doing and its effects on the body
Mhm.
and kind of being more independent with it, I guess. That's the biggest thing. Like the certification course is going to give you that lifetime support. It's going to give you all those topics of that go into acupressure. And I just don't think that a book would ever be able to cover that.
And
And
this,
I mean, we have lots of videos too. So
and
I like learning through videos. So
the same for owners as well. We do offer them support too, which even though they're not a
yeah,
practitioner, one of the things with being a student in holistic animal studies through Angels Animals is that we do offer the owners support too if they're taking a course to learn for their animal. So if they want to reach out to us and talk specifically about their animal or issues that they're having, we're happy to give them any advice and talk to them. And that's something that never goes away. Just because you finish the course, once you are a student, you're part of our family more or less, and you can reach out and talk to us at any point. So
yeah.
that's one of the benefits that pet owners have as well. Okay. So was there ever a specific case that stands out in your mind where acupressure really played a significant role in helping an animal?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have boarded my horses for years and I got a text about like 10:30 at night. I was at home and the barn manager, she's a barn owner. She's a lovely, lovely lady. She's like, I think Breslin, this horse that is on the property that's owned by someone, she's like, I think he's colicking and we can't get a hold of the vet. And I was like, okay. So I live quite a ways away. And so I was like, I'm going to send you an acupressure protocol. And I guided her on the type of pressure she needed to use and said, like, do this once bilaterally and then see what he does. So she did that. She's a really smart lady. She's actually taken a couple different holistic animal studies courses as well so that she can, better her knowledge as a barn owner. So she did that protocol and she texted me the next morning and she said, you wouldn't even believe it. And I was like, what? And she's like, after I did the acupressure protocol, Breslin pooped within 30 minutes and he started eating. And she was concerned about him being colicky because he is typically a horse that's like not weird about anything. They had just gotten home from a trail ride in the mountains. And he's just typically like just one that's very like, yeah, whatever. He's nonchalant. And he's never acted like that, especially turning down food. Um, so that's why they were worried. He wasn't severely colicky where, they're thrashing around and going down. Thank goodness. But yeah, I was really like, that was one of those moments that I was like, yes, like super, super happy that I could help her out in that moment and give that owner that peace of mind. He got checked out by the vet the next day. He was perfectly healthy. And yeah, that was pretty miraculous.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I definitely think when it comes to like a gas colic or just a mild impaction, things like acupressure can definitely help. And as you mentioned, if they're thrashing and they're in a lot of pain, then definitely need to have
Yeah,
them come out.
get to the vet right now.
Acupressure can maybe help while you're waiting to kind of give them a little bit of pain relief and stuff, but definitely that would be a
Yeah,
veterinary case. But yeah,
yeah,
that's an awesome story.
yeah.
All right. So I guess we'll kind of wrap it up with that. So how, if people want to learn more about acupressure and about the courses that we offer, where do they need to go for that?
So you're going to head to Holistic Animal Studies, and we have the small animal acupressure certification. So we teach you on cats and dogs. We have the small animal acupressure non-certification course. So this one is going to be that little bit less complex, and that one is recommended for owners of cats or dogs. And then we have our equine certification, equine non-certification. And I definitely encourage you to check it out if you're interested in that kind of stuff. If you're fascinated with it, like I was, I still am fascinated with it. And yeah, and actually right now we have a giveaway going on until the end of August. So we have, if you're looking to get into the certification side of acupressure, we have a pretty good giveaway going on. If you enroll in the equine certification, the small animal certification, or the bundle, you get a chance to win a really cool prize. So the prize that we did is kind of like a little basket of things that you can utilize with your acupressure. So in our courses, we teach you about additional things to use with acupressure. That's the one thing that's super unique with the Holistic Animal Studies acupressure course, is that we teach you more. So we give you some kinesiology tape to utilize that kinesiology tape with your acupressure sessions. We're giving away a red light laser torch to help with laser acupuncture. We're doing moxibustion, which is a type of herbal, it's a type of herb that we use in acupressure to help with pain relief, and a couple essential oils. And I think there was a book that we included, and then also free enrollment to the raindrop therapy course. And that one is a really cool modality as well. So
Awesome. All right, cool. So we'll put the links in the comments on that so people can find that. Anything that else you'd like to tell our viewers before we wrap it
I
up?
don't think so. I think that's everything.
All right, awesome. Well, thank you so much. And yeah, we're looking forward to talking to you about the raindrop therapy.
Me too.